there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy for the Ages, the show where typically father and son sit down and talk about fantasy, science fiction, and what other nerdy stuff we feel like talking about today. This is one of our Just Jim episodes, as Zach is off doing other things today. He doesn't actually have time for me. Now, he has more of a life. He has an awesome girlfriend, and he's got stuff to do. So I still want to bring fun stuff to you a little more. This is my hobby, and Zach agrees to be a part of it and have some of the fun. So today, I'm here on location, not in Vancouver, Washington. Can I tell them where you are?
Yeah, sure.
In Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is not like a foreign country. It's another cool place just right next to Washington. And I'm here with Spencer of the Fantasy Files podcast. How you doing, Spencer?
Everybody doing good.
Awesome. So we're just here today to talk, have some conversation, have some beer, and have a good time. But, oh, wait a second. There is someone else jumping in here. What is this?
All right. I resent the fact that you think I just don't want to be here or I don't have time for you. Sure, I've got other things going on. Sure, I'm going to go do those things. But this is important to me. Everyone here is important. The both of you, it's great to see you. Great to have you. So, shame on you, Dad. You doing me dirty. The fact that this is what they're getting when I'm not here, you throwing me under that bus?
The fandom is going to come give me crap for throwing shade on my son now. Look at that.
Not really, because they haven't done it in the past Just Jim episodes, and I bet you've been doing it there too.
Maybe. No. It's all in good fun. Just creating content. Honestly, Zach does have more of a life than I do, so I can spend time doing episodes a little more than he does, but he loves them. He loves you guys. He's glad to be here, and thanks for jumping in a little today, Zach.
Absolutely.
I know we are taking time tomorrow, you and I, to record a couple of episodes, and our patrons are welcome to join us live. This one is all hush-hush. Nobody will be here. It's just us today. And your puppy. Hi.
Yeah.
I came into Spencer's place and his dog tried to chew my knee off. It was like, now it's all licking and happy.
I mean, is it really a good dog if it doesn't give you a bit of both?
Right. Seriously.
Exactly.
He's the guard hanging dog out though the whole time now. It's great. A little smaller than Rolly though.
You still have to meet him at some point here. Physically. I was just talking with Rachel today about how that may not happen for a little while. You got to make it down to Austin, and I don't know when that's happening.
See?
He's so cute.
Pupper.
Such a good pupper.
Yeah. Look, they see you. Look. Yeah. Hi. Oh, I got kisses. Yeah. So what are you up today, Zach? Anything top secret or that you can share?
I mean, the big thing is finally Rachel's Christmas present that I got for her. We were going to see Hadestown, the musical, when it came to town way back in February.
Okay.
And then another surge of virus things said, hey, that's actually down in September now.
Yes.
So
COVID.
This evening, we've got those plans and making a whole evening around it. It's going to be great. There may or may not be pictures. Don't know if they'll get shared on Discord or whatnot, but I'm really excited. I've been excited for, I guess, months now. And it's really nice to finally be like, hey, Merry Christmas 9 months later.
Yeah. Can I make an admission here? I have no idea what Hadestown is.
Yeah, me neither.
It's a musical with fantastic music. If you haven't heard any of it, I suggest go listen to a soundtrack. But it tells the story of Orpheus and Eurydice.
All right.
Okay.
Is it better than that one show you were excited about, wanted me to watch? What was it? Jefferson, Madison?
Hamilton?
Hamilton. Yeah, is it better than that?
You would like this one better than Hamilton because the words are technically slower most of the time, so you can actually follow them. Hamilton is a good show. You just are old and slow.
My brain could not handle the rap. I got so mad, and I've never watched the whole show.
Yeah.
When you stop every 5 seconds to pause it and go, what'd they say? It's a little hard to enjoy it.
Then that show's not for me. Yeah, that's it. But hey, if y'all liked it, Hamilton, It won awards. It's all that.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoy Hadestown tonight. And
For sure.
say hi to Rach for us.
Will do.
All right. Well, thanks for dropping in. Kind of nice
Thank you
to
for
have
having
you in
me.
here.
Spencer, thank you for letting me crash.
Sure.
But I gotta head out. So
Okay.
bye, everybody.
See ya. Well, that was cool.
Yeah.
Have the two of you been on a podcast episode together at all yet? No.
Nope.
That was the first time. So that was Zach.
Cool.
Yeah, that was fun. Now we can say you guys have done an episode together.
So you tried watching Hamilton.
Oh man, when it came out on television on Disney Plus.
Okay.
I tried. Oh.
See, I didn't even know that it was. Is it a movie or just a filming of the play? Or
No, well, that's a great question.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a filming of the live show, but it was done very high quality,
Right. Yeah. I had a girlfriend a few years ago who was really into the play, wanted to see it so bad, but tickets were like $500 or $600 a person.
Oh, no show is worth that.
And I was
None.
I'm trying to be a good boyfriend, but I'm not
That
not paying $1,200 for us
Basically,
to go
you're
see
like,
Hamilton.
I don't love you that much.
Right.
I know it's only money, but that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Okay. Well, my wife and I have been married now for, oh my goodness, 33? Yeah, 33 years.
Okay.
Now, if I buy flowers, she says, those better not have been too expensive.
Oh, really?
We've reached that point.
Yeah, for sure.
There are things we want to spend our money on and
Yeah.
other things we're not going to waste it on.
Right.
Well, thank you for inviting me into your house so
Of
we
course.
can do an
Yes.
episode together. This is going to be fun.
This is awesome.
And again, we have no specific focus on what we're talking about today, just a whole bunch of random odds and ends. I've got a list. I didn't tell Spencer what the list is, so he's going to discover at the same time that you do what we're going to talk about here today. But one thing we kind of agreed about ahead of time was that we'd enjoy some beverage together and try out some different things. So he picked which one we're doing first, which is a Solar Cruiser Pale Ale from I don't know how to say it, Ninkasi Brewing Company. It's out of Eugene, Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a pale ale. And what do you think?
I like it so far. I think it's really nice.
Some of you have been following us know my beer. If you can see through it, that's not real beer. We'll get to that. I thought this was a good choice for the first one. And actually, for what it is kind of tasty.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with it. So there you go. Solar Cruiser. Okay, we'd so far recommend that one.
I think this is I think I grabbed the medium one. You said you had a light, a dark, and a medium. This is the medium one.
Nope, trust me, that's the light one.
Is it?
Because it's the pale ale. We've got
Oh.
a red that's going to be darker, and then I've got something solid to punch us.
Okay, got it.
All right. So before we talk about anything else, I do want to give everybody a chance to know, if this is the first time they've stumbled on my podcast, they're going,
Right.
Who is this guy? What?
Yeah.
So tell them about what you do, what your show is, where they can find your content.
For sure. So I'm Spencer. I'm one of the hosts of the Fantasy Files podcast. We talk about all number of things. We have 2 channels now. We have the main Fantasy Files podcast, which is like booktube videos, like similar to how like Mike's book reviews, very similar kind of feel. And then we have podcast episodes similar to like the Legendarium or Friends Talking Fantasy, where we kind of just pick a book and then we'll discuss it. Full spoilers. We have some episodes that are like, non-spoiler, and we'll have like author interviews and stuff like that. But a lot of the episodes are kind of pertaining to kind of book by book. We go through the Dresden Files a lot. So if you guys have been following his Dresden Files content, want to see some more of it, we definitely do that quite a bit. And then our second channel that we just started up the other day. I mean, we've had the videos for a while, but we started up a secondary channel to kind of put these videos onto, is the Fantasy Files Reacts. And that's the episode that we'll be doing later, where we talk about movies, video games, TV shows, kind of off topic kind of stuff, mostly pertaining to media, something to do with media outside books. So yeah, that's kind of who we are. You can follow us on Twitter @FilesFantasy. or just look us up on YouTube, Fantasy Files Podcast. We'll be on Spotify soon. I've been working on it, so.
They're way more organized than I am, because we have one YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff. You can find it there. You just got to look through the different playlists that we've created.
Yeah, I just started doing playlists. We had a friend come on the show. It was our first Creators Corner episode.
Okay.
And he's another content creator. He's like, you got to get a second channel and you got to make playlists. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it. And so I...
Yeah, so if you're watching this on YouTube already, you know we've got these different playlists, and I have to figure out where to stick this one. It'll be on our Just Jim playlist, because no Zach, even though you got a little bit, that almost doesn't count. And we've got our Wheel of Time playlists. We've got Dresden Files. We've got our To Read or Not to Read series, where we just kind of spoiler light review different series, some from a long time ago, some from more recent. And tell people why they might or might not like trying it. And certainly we give our opinions, because that matters, right? What do we think? That's what you're here for. Yeah. And then you can tell us if you agree or disagree.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just fun. All the different kinds of things you can do. You never want to just do one thing.
Yeah.
You know, where does the brain take you?
Yeah.
And we've started doing, kind of reactions to things as well. Like I've got an episode on Stranger Things.
Okay, cool.
The Expanse, just stuff that, House of the Dragon, stuff we put out there. So yeah. So check them out. I only had one of your YouTube channels that I was following. Now I know about the other one and where it will be. I knew you were getting something going, but now we'll go look for the other channel.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. First question of the episode then. Something to talk about is, how in the heck did you decide to start doing this in the first place? Making content and putting it out there for the world to love or not?
Right. So my co-host is one of my best friends, Gabe. We've known each other for 5 years now, 4 years, something like that. And we started working together. I had a construction company out in Washington, and he was kind of working part-time. And so I was like, why don't I hire you on full-time? You can help me. So he worked with me for probably a good year. And during that year, I had introduced him to the Dresden Files, and
a good friend.
And he hadn't really been a big reader at all. Like he was not into fantasy outside of like watching things like Lord of the Rings and Marvel movies, stuff like that. And so
and you brought him to the light.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And so I got him onto these audiobooks. We were listening to one on a job site one day, and he was like, this is awesome. I think I was actually listening to Skin Game, so we got a little bit of spoilers.
Nice.
And after we kind of listened to that, he was like, I'm gonna get an Audible account. I'm gonna listen to all of these. So from the beginning to the end, he listened all the way through. This is before Battleground and Peace Talks came out. And so then we got to experience like the excitement of Peace Talks and Battleground coming out together, which was really fun. So anyway, that happened, and little by little, as we're working together, we're each listening to our own books now instead of on the speaker. And I would recommend him books. I'm like, dude, you got to read Night Angel next. And he was like, okay. And so we read Night Angel, fell in love with it. Then I was like, you got to read the Scythe series. And so we read the Scythe trilogy.
Okay, I haven't done that one yet.
You'd probably like it. It's a little bit more YA, but it's not like I don't like YA, and I like this. If you know what I mean. So so anyway, I just started sharing all these books, and we found King's Dark Tidings, King Killer, and just it kept going and going. And I'm like, we're listening to so many books, and every time we finish one, we're on the phone for like an hour and a half talking about these books.
Debriefing. Yeah.
I'm like, why don't we record some of this? And it almost didn't happen. He was very nervous about starting a podcast. And I had been on the Dresden Files podcast probably like 2 or 3 times by this point. And I was like, I really liked that. And so I was trying to tell him about it. I'm like, no, I think you'd really like it if we could, like make some notes and share our opinions, get really deep on this. And so eventually he said yes. Our first 3 episodes are utter garbage. Do not.
Every show starts that way. It does.
Matter of fact, our first episode was the King Killer, and we did both books.
Okay.
And like maybe 20 episodes later, we had to go back and do it again.
And your
because
fans thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Because the first episode was just hot trash. So yeah, we started with doing it I think first we were doing it like once a month or once every 3 weeks. Then we got down to once every 2 weeks. Then we did every single week.
Okay.
And we just got rolling. And,
Nice.
and like you guys have done as well, we started branching out with the Fantasy Files Reacts and the book reviews and stuff. So yeah.
Our experience, interestingly, I mean, it followed a different path, even though we've got content that's in some ways rather similar.
Right.
Back during December of 2020 is when we started. And Zach and I are both sitting around in the house stuck during a pandemic. And Zach had been a podcast listener to a number of different things, Wheel of Time and other stuff. And I'd listened to some podcasts, but he got me onto some fantasy podcasts.
For sure.
And I'd been listening for a while. And then I finally went, we could do this.
Yeah.
We could have some fun recording things. So we decided to work through the Wheel of Time. Now, there's a lot of Wheel of Time podcasts out there, but we said, we can bring our own spin to it.
Right.
And so that's what we started out with. And every weekend, every Sunday, we were dropping a new episode. And again, the first few were kind of rough.
Yeah.
We needed better microphones. We needed better cameras, better lighting, all the tech stuff.
Yeah.
And even for us, originally, all we did was sound. So the camera came later.
Right.
But yeah, there's one of the, I think it's episode 4. We swear we want to get t-shirts that say I survived episode 4 because Zach's mic was popping constantly.
Oh, yeah.
He needed to upgrade big time.
Yeah.
So we both have these Yetis now, that really pick up the sound well.
Yeah.
But we're just doing Wheel of Time for a while. And then we were like, this is going to take us a long time.
Yeah.
Get through the Wheel of Time as breaking down chapter by chapter.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to talk about.
Right.
So then we started branching out, and eventually it turned into what it is now. We found we couldn't do Wheel of Time as fast as we were doing originally.
Yeah.
Because we started out every week. There's a new episode, but then we spaced it out more. So every other week we're recording now, but I still like to throw extra stuff in, which is how these kind of shows come in now. The Just Jim is just me going, well, what else can I do?
Yeah, I think it's super important to kind of, spice it up a bit and do different things, especially I know I've often wondered about podcasts that cover one specific subject because, it's just one topic.
Yeah.
It's so hard there's so many other things that you're reading while you're also talking about that you'd like to talk about.
I have started reading a ton more while doing content creating.
I've noticed just in the past 6 or 8 months, I've noticed you branching out a lot.
Yeah. And this year I set a goal for myself to, I think, get through 67 books. And I'm, I think, finishing number 80 now. And it's just September.
Nice.
And I do Audible, but I also physically read at the same time, different books, and I think I'm reading 4 different books right now, actually.
I couldn't do it. I can do 2. I think 2 is like my max that I can hold in my head.
Different times, different situations, I'll put on different content. And it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
I might have to focus that down when I start to read Malazan. That's coming very soon now, and that might overwhelm the ability to focus on anything else.
Oh man.
Have you read that Malazan Book of the Fallen?
I probably never will, honestly.
Okay.
I think it's just it's way too much of a commitment for me. It's way too complex.
Yeah, that's what they say. If you survive the first book, then you're okay. Is what some people tell us. If you can't get through the first, don't even try the rest. Don't even try.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be hard for you to get through because you commit. When I start one, I'm going through all 10 of the core books. There's no denying. I will power through, but I think I'm gonna love it. Okay,
I'm not hesitant there. And one of our listeners, Jake, hey Jake, he wants to have us get together a book club style for it because he tried it once before and couldn't quite make it through. He's like, if I do it with friends, Maybe that's, we're talking about it as we go through.
That's what I've heard. I watch a lot of BookTube. If you don't watch Philip Chase, you should definitely watch Philip Chase.
Okay.
And he's I think he's actually a teacher, like a professor or something. And he is completely hooked on them. He loves them. And I've watched some of his like podcast episodes that he's done and his BookTube episodes, and he explains it really well. And he'll often have like 4 or 5 people on to discuss a book, and it looks like those conversations go really well.
All right. Well, let's move through questions. Just our conversations already hit my first 2 questions. So, that's fun. And we just kind of wander into things. How many episodes do you have out there already published?
I think 50 is going up on Monday.
Okay. And how many more do you have in the bank that you're still working on?
So total,
like editing and stuff.
I probably have at least 6 that are
in process, waiting to get put together.
But on our YouTube channel, we have 90 something videos total.
Wow.
Because the Fantasy Files reacts plus the reviews and stuff like that. So
all right. Yeah. Well, we are up to, I think it's 140 episodes. Now, again, we like half of those are podcast only.
Okay.
And then the latter half has all been video too.
Okay.
We started out only podcasting, then switched over to video. But so now we do both. Everything comes out on video, and I transferred over to audio. But so all told, about 140 episodes. I've got a couple that I'm still editing to get released when their release date comes, which includes tomorrow. There's a new one to drop tomorrow, but that one's ready. That one's ready and waiting.
If I can ask real quick, how long does it usually take you to edit an episode?
That's a great question, and it's changed.
Really?
It took a long time in the beginning, but I've gotten better with the tools and stuff. So, a typical episode for us runs about 90 minutes.
Okay.
It might be a little shorter, might be a little longer, but averaging about 90 minutes.
Okay.
And to edit that and get it ready takes at least double that time. So at least 3 hours of work.
Okay. Yeah.
But it used to take longer because, with the podcast version, editing out all the little sound gaps and the ums and the times we talk over each other.
Yeah.
That used to take so long because I use GarageBand as my editing tool.
Oh, really?
Okay. And one thing it doesn't do is get rid of the gaps for you automatically.
Oh.
So about 3 months ago, I downloaded Audacity. So Audacity is a free editing tool. I first import to Audacity, and it has a tool called Truncate Silence.
Really?
So any of those gaps, I set how big a gap I want it to find, and anything that size or bigger, it takes it and shrinks it down to the size that I say.
Okay.
And right there, I'll throw in a 90-minute episode, run it through that, and it's already 75 minutes.
Whoa.
Because it just got rid of all the silence. Then I just go through and get rid of the ums and the talkovers. So that has sped up the process.
I'm going to have to use that for putting our stuff on Spotify.
Do it.
I'm sure
Yes.
Audacity doesn't do video, right?
No. Not that I know of. I only use it for sound.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, for my videos, if usually I don't edit those, you're getting raw content, people. Just what we stream is what we put out there. But if we made some major errors, there was one time I was doing a Just Jim episode, and halfway through it, I had to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
I literally had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I just let it keep running, and I went and used the bathroom. Didn't have the mic on in the bathroom. So that one, I had to edit. So if I'm editing it, then I download and I edit in simply in iMovie. Because I'm an Apple fan. So all the Mac tools I can do lots with. And iMovie is really basic, but enough for my needs.
Yeah.
And if I'm then going to edit, then I'll throw in some graphics and do a little fancy transitions.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's so many, I edit so much stuff out. Like there's times where we'll finish a discussion, like one topic on the podcast, and then I'll be like, give me a second. I got to like scroll through my notes to get to the next like part of what I wanted to talk about. So I usually edit like that chunk out, so I'm not sitting there for 5 minutes.
Your fans appreciate that.
Yeah. Sure.
I do put a little pressure on myself to try to be totally on it
Mm-hmm.
and keep it flowing. so that I'm thinking this isn't going to suck with lots of gaps and mistakes.
Yeah.
Because again, if it does, I won't send that to you. If it does, I will download, edit, and upload. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to save myself that effort.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I just talked to you about, how I'm getting better at content creating, like finding Audacity and the microphones, the lighting and stuff.
Right.
Another thing I did along the way that has helped is using StreamYard for my sending to YouTube, and that's where we capture all of our audio and video, and then I can download the separate audio files and the video and all that stuff. StreamYard was something I learned from other content creators. I went, I'll try that. There's a free version, but I use the paid version, so I get a little more perks with it.
Okay.
Those are things that have really helped us grow in the quality of our content.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, what are some major ways you've improved the content you do?
Oh.
What are things that you discovered and figured out and started doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we first started, we had almost no notes. Like we were just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. And there's been a couple episodes that we've done recently where we've gone back to not having like barely any notes for it. And those are more the conversations where, we're just kind of talking off topic and kind of go with the flow. But in episode 3 or 4, we really started improving the way that our notes are structured. We have like several like segments that we go through, and by now our fans probably know like, oh, now they're going through like the magic system, now they're going through the characters, all this stuff.
There's a structure they're used to now.
So those notes really helped. As far as like equipment and stuff, I think that first, the biggest thing that's helped is just comfortability with like the camera and just talking to people and
learning to look at that little dot right there.
Yes. So that's a major one, just practice. But I got a microphone. I got a Shure M7, I think, and that thing has improved everything greatly. I got a really upgraded webcam. It's a 4K webcam. That's helped a lot. And then I used to edit all of our stuff on, oh God, what was it? It was some free video editor. And in some ways it was great, but in a lot of ways it sucked. Every time there was a cut, there's like this little black bar that would appear at the top.
Oh, that's not convenient.
Yeah. And so I used to have to find like creative ways to like get that out of there.
Yeah.
But it was never good. So then I got Adobe Premiere Pro, and that has been an absolute godsend. There are so many things.
A lot of good tools with that.
Oh my gosh.
I've heard.
People were telling me forever, like there's so many things that you can do in Premiere that you can't do in other programs. I'm like, I can do most of what I want to do in this free program. They're like, no.
You have no idea, Spencer.
They're like, you don't get it. And I was like, okay. And so finally I got it after trying several other programs, that like just completely stole my money and didn't work at all. And just going through all these trial and errors. And then when I finally landed on Adobe Premiere Pro, I was like, I will never, ever go back to anything else.
There you go.
Best.
All right. You mentioned notes. Yeah. The way Zach and I do notes for our episodes is maybe unique. I do the notes.
Okay.
I'm the one that puts the time into the notes. But it depends on the episode as to what kind of notes that is. So if it's a Wheel of Time, I've got notes all laid out. Same thing with Dresden Files. I got my notes all laid out. But with the episodes that I'm doing with Zach, Wheel of Time ones, I've shared the notes, so he sees them.
Yeah.
And there's even little spots in there where I've highlighted, this is for you to say something.
Yeah.
I'll toss the question at him. He knows it's coming ahead of time.
Right.
So he's prepped himself.
Yeah.
You'll see an episode now and then where I just spring something on him flat. And he's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
But the episodes that aren't Wheel of Time, I've prepped notes, but I don't share them with him, because then it is more conversational, but I've still prepped it. So I'm not going, now what should I ask next?
Right.
And he just, father and son, we're in sync enough that he knows the way my brain works. It still flows.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, we're doing 2 more chapters from the Shadow Rising, book 4 of the Wheel of Time. And he's already got the notes.
Yeah.
He knows what we're working through. And then we're going to do a to read or not to read on the Dragonlance series, starting with the Chronicles and then there's over 190 Dragonlance books.
I believe it. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about these, and
Gosh.
should you read them or should you not? And what might you think? He has no idea what we're going to talk about there, other than Dragonlance.
Nice.
But again, we have a format,
Yeah,
just like you do for some. So structure that always shows up.
Yeah, I would say as far as Gabe goes, when we do like an interview or something with either other authors or other creators or whatever, I'll have certain questions like highlighted for him, like, oh, like these are kind of your questions, and we'll go back and forth. But I think that another way that we've grown and improved is I've always kind of been like the outgoing, talkative one, but I have seen such a huge improvement in Gabe and the way that he is much quicker to come up with things and much quicker to kind of respond. He doesn't really need to think about things for a long period of time. Whereas before it was kind of like, okay, I got to cut out this like 30 seconds of him thinking of something to say. But no, especially for me, like going back and editing the episodes and watching through the whole thing. Yeah. Sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, he has come a long way.
There you go.
And so, practice.
Well, and our shows would not be what they are without the people that we do them with.
For sure.
So we appreciate their growth as well.
Yeah.
I'd say for the most part with Zach, some of our best content, certainly our most entertaining content, is stuff that he comes up with on his own. They weren't in the notes.
For sure.
He's just inspired and he throws something in, and then we end up laughing.
Yeah.
Insulting each other, maybe, whatever. But then that's great. And he knows he always has full reign to say whatever he's thinking. He doesn't have to stick to my notes. Tangents are real, man.
Yeah,
they're real.
Definitely.
All right. What's your favorite episode so far?
What's yours? Let me think.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you time to think about it. I've got a tie between two of them. One is episode 100, which on the encouragement and challenge from some of our followers, we did as a musical episode. So we actually just created song parodies, so that based on real songs, but we wrote our own lyrics tied to different things from sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah.
And each back and forth, Zach and I just sang our songs right there to the screen, and with the music backtrack happening sometimes, Zach's got a brilliant Wheel of Time song on there.
Oh, wow.
He nailed it.
That's awesome.
Set to Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. Do you know that song?
Yeah, I think
it goes
so.
on and on and on and on. Well, so does the Wheel of Time. So it kind of fit,
That's great.
So that one is tied, though, with the To Read or Not to Read we did on the Dragon Riders of Pern.
Okay.
And not that one was such an epic episode. It was a good episode. I mean, we don't put out crap.
Yeah.
But that spurred us to start a book club on the Dragon Riders of Pern, which we're on the 4th book now on our Discord server and working our way through all 26 books.
Nice.
And all because of that episode. So
that's awesome.
That's fun.
Yeah.
More engagement, more people connecting with us. We love that.
That's cool.
So what came to mind?
So I guess there's so many. It's so hard. So Holly Tinsley is an author who's come on our podcast a lot. She wrote We Met of Ash and Shadow. She's become a really, really great friend of ours over the past year. And every episode she's on is always so fantastic because we're all so comfortable with each other.
Nice.
And there's been a couple times where RJ Bailey, her audiobook narrator, has come on as well. And those are always such fantastic episodes.
How do you get these people to show up on your episode?
It's surprisingly easy.
Really?
I don't know. There's been so many times where I've just been like, how did we make this happen? But honestly, like just reaching out to people, like if you like, I've found that whenever I've reached out to somebody and just like honestly told them like, hey, I'm a big fan of yours, like, will you please come talk to us? Usually they're pretty receptive.
Nice.
And so the speaking of which, the episode that I'm choosing for this question is Chris McGrath, the interview we did with him, and he is the cover illustrator for not only Dresden Files, but also Mistborn, King's Dark Tidings, which is another of our top 3 favorites. So many. There's so many that he's done. And I reached out to him maybe 8 or 9 months ago or so. And I was like, hey, I'm just going to throw this out there because I found his email. And I was like, I'm just going to throw this out there. Like, can we get you on the podcast? I'm a huge fan of the Dresden Files. I love all your illustrations. And he initially responded and he's like, I'm really busy right now, but I am interested. Let me figure this out. And so over the course of the next 9 months, we were going back and forth with
trying to find a time that might work.
Yeah, he's like, I'm really busy right now. Like, I'll try. And so eventually, like, as we got close, we recorded it 2 months ago, I think. And as we got closer and closer to that, it was like, okay, like getting it more concrete and everything. And having him on was so amazing. I was like, I was trying not to fanboy out. And there was a point at the beginning of the episode where I kind of do a little bit and he like steers it like so that I don't make an ass out of myself.
We have not done that with our podcast at all yet.
Making that.
Well, no, we've done that, but we haven't reached out to any authors or
you should.
We should. Yeah. Because there's certainly some that we're definitely promoting them on our Twitter channel. Because Twitter, I just, all the stuff I'm reading. And I'm like, I love certain authors and I tell people, so I should reach out.
Here's the thing too, is like it's free promotion for them.
Sure.
So, like they want to promote their stuff. So if nothing else, like they have an avenue to promote and to an audience.
Yeah.
So
and there is something just warm and fuzzy when you shout something out on Twitter and the author likes it and even gives you a comment back. It's like, aw, those are the ones I should probably reach out to then because they actually know I exist. Yay. All right, cool. All right. That's kind of all the questions that are content creator related.
Okay.
Now we're just going to go into thoughts, likes, stuff, random stuff the rest of the way.
Okay.
So let's start with one of the brutally hard questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite color?
Gray. I wear gray all the time. Yep. My roommate, we've been best friends for like 8 years. So he's known me for a long time and he's seen me like only wear gray in the last like 8 years. And he calls me the gray man. And so gray and black somewhere in that middle distance.
Now
those are my colors.
You haven't read far enough in the Wheel of Time yet.
Okay.
But a gray man.
I know what a gray man
is. Oh, you have?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I laughed.
There's some meaning there.
I laughed out loud when I saw that. Yeah, for sure.
That makes sense then. Well, my favorite color, the lighting isn't quite enough for them to tell it's blue. This is blue. This is not a black shirt. It's blue.
For sure.
See, you're testifying. I've got blue. And in our little logo, and they can see that up at the top corner of the screen over there, I'm wearing a blue jacket, but green is very prominent in our logo because that's Zach's favorite color.
Oh, okay.
So blue and green, there we go. But
okay.
I'm blue. Absolutely. All right. Favorite subgenre of fantasy. Now we threw this out on Twitter, and there was in our followers there was a huge, solid winner. But what's yours?
Grimdark. Grimdark, without a doubt. Yeah.
And I think Grimdark got 4th place on our Twitter poll.
Okay.
But that's okay. We have a lot of Wheel of Time followers.
Yeah.
That's not Grimdark.
Right. Yeah, I would say for me, Grimdark is just like, I mean, it's usually. I get really interested in, I feel like fantasy is, a lot of it is like the hero's journey. And it's like these good guys trying to do good things, or at least it used to be a lot.
Yeah. Totally.
And nowadays, as we've gone more into Grimdark, we're getting really interesting characters who, some of them may be the main characters, but they're not likable.
They're horribly irredeemable even sometimes.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And I love that. I'm fascinated.
They wallow in their awfulness.
Exactly. But I also like the super dark kind of gray character that becomes a good guy, like Night Angel. That was one of the first like grim. Actually, yeah, it was
Durzo Blint.
Yeah, it was probably one of the first grimdark books that I read, and it made me real. There was something that hit me about like the person who is a terrible person doing terrible things, then kind of changing that around and finding a way to use that for good.
Yeah. Well, something I will give Grimdark credit for is these dark characters, gritty, really nasty sometimes. They're not shallow.
No,
there's
yeah.
a reason why they are who they are.
Right.
And, in more traditional epic high fantasy, you got a lot of them where the good guys are good and the bad guys are all bad. And there's
Right.
no real reason. They just are. They
Right.
just suck. They were born that way,
Yeah.
And no, Grimdark's a little more realistic in that
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
And I also kind of like how Grimdark isn't, and a lot of books are going this way nowadays, but Grimdark also isn't afraid to, it doesn't shy away from the ugly stuff. You're gonna read about like horrible things that happen to people, and you're gonna get it front and center. And
at the same time, Grimdark is not a safe place for people who have a lot of triggers.
Yes, that's a good warning to add.
Don't go.
Yeah,
now
for sure.
On the other hand, a lot of people on our Twitter, they were with me actually. My preference is epic fantasy, high fantasy. And that's what I've by far read the most of.
Yeah.
So I've been branching out into other things, and I enjoy Grimdark.
Yeah.
I can get there. But yeah, I think it was like 70% of our people were, oh yeah, epic fantasy. That's where it's at.
Totally. That's fair.
Although I will admit I'm also a sucker for zombie apocalypse.
Oh.
Yeah, which is it's a growing niche.
Yeah.
But man, there's some good stuff out there.
What's a zombie apocalypse book I should read?
Well, I'm reading the let's see. It's not really zombie apocalypse. I'm really reading the Helldivers series right now.
Okay.
Nicholas Sansbury Smith, and that's one of the authors I need to reach out to. But that's definitely post-apocalyptic, and there are creatures that were created, but they're not really zombies.
Have you read the Dead Bones saga?
No.
Okay, it's narrated by R.J. Bailey.
Okay.
And apparently it's Vikings in a zombie apocalypse. Well, not apocalypse, but it's like back in the Viking days, but there's like hordes of zombies.
Okay.
So that's the way it was sold to me. I've heard people really, really like it.
Nice. Yeah, and I've got more zombie apocalypse scattered throughout my TBR.
Okay.
Because just every time I dive in, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's disgusting and it's dangerous and people die, but it's fun.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your favorite author so far?
Oh.
I always have to quantify these questions because this is moving targets as we read and discover more things. But what do you think? Favorite author so far?
As far as like, that's such a hard question because like the Dresden Files is my number one favorite series.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Jim Butcher is exactly my favorite author. I think as far as like skill at telling a story, like Jim Butcher is undoubtedly, very skilled, but I've got to hand it to, as many problems as I have with him, I got to hand it to either Patrick Rothfuss for the Painkiller,
which we shall not talk about further.
It's got to be Patrick Rothfuss because the way there's things hidden in each sentence of the book that you can literally go back and decode. And so it's really wild, some of the things that he's been able to accomplish. But this year I also read the first Red Rising trilogy, Pierce Brown.
Yeah.
And after I got done with those, I'm like, I think Pierce Brown might be in like my top 5 favorite authors of all time. It was incredible the things he was able to do.
There's a lot of authors I enjoy, and how do you pick a favorite?
Yeah.
For me, I think it comes down to which author can I spend the most time with, and still want more, and still reread. I mean, it's got to be rereadable again and again and again. So, Robert Jordan.
Yeah.
I've read the Wheel of Time books so many times now, and still enjoy them each time.
Yeah.
But honestly, Jim Butcher is up there for me because I've never laughed so hard.
I know.
His humor, he gets me. It's just, oh man.
I know.
And there's still more to come, which is great.
Yeah.
For me working through the Dresden File books, I have an episode. I think tomorrow's episode dropping is my review of Skin Game. So that's where we are. That's where in our content.
Close.
Right. So I'm going to be talking to you because wanted to have you on. Hopefully Gabe too, if he's available for when we do Battleground. Yeah. So
for sure.
But before I do Peace Talks, I'm jumping into an episode on just all the short stories. side
okay.
jobs, briefcases. Got to cover that because
Nice.
people were like, where are you going to fit that in? And if you read Peace Talks and Battleground without having read the short stories,
Yeah.
it's fine. But
There's so much you'd be confused on.
There's little nuances that you're not going to get.
Yeah.
Is that your roommate coming up there?
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Hey, come on in.
Okay. Hang on.
Or
Give
he's
me
going to leave now.
Give me 1 second.
See, this is live, people. So things happen. You get to hear the doc. You get to hear the roommate that's stopping by. I think he's going to run away and not disturb us, which is really kind of him if he chooses to do that. But it would have been fine. It would have been fine.
All right, fine.
So he's taken off?
Yeah.
I just told them it would have been fine for him to come on in, but then they probably would have seen him.
He's just on his lunch break.
Cool. All right, we did favorite author. How about favorite book or favorite series?
Oh, geez. Okay. Hank.
And this might be boring because it might go to the same authors we just talked about. But...
Yeah. So I mean, can I do like my top 3?
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
So number 1 is always going to be Dresden Files. I honestly don't think anything could ever take the place of Dresden Files. My number 2 would be King's Dark Tidings. And this is a book or a series that I had kind of found a couple years ago, and it quickly took the place above anything else. Number 3 is kind of an ever-changing spot. And number 3 is kind of the one that's always rotating anytime I read something new that I'm possibly. So number 3 is a hard one, but I would probably say either King Killer or Night Angel. Those kind of swap out the number 3 there.
Yeah, as we keep reading and discovering new things.
Yeah,
this changes.
It's
for sure.
hard.
Right now, for me, Wheel of Time is number 1.
Yeah.
Dresden Files is number 2.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to see where he takes the rest of this series.
Yeah.
Number 3 is The Dragon Riders of Pern. It's classic, although it's stretched over a long period of time.
Okay.
And the fact that I've only read 16 of the books, and the story really had kind of ended, and it was satisfying. And then they went to write more, and I wasn't paying any attention. So there's 10 more books that I'm going to experience the first time with our book club.
Yeah.
But as I'm rereading these books right now, it's just so comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, to drop back into a world and a story that I so enjoyed in the past. A few of them I've read more than once. Some of them I only read once, but just loving it. It's so good.
Nice.
So, yep. Dragon Riders of Pern. All right. A hot current topic. And I don't even know if you'll have a take on this or not. I'm just throwing it out here.
Oh, I thought you were asking me for one. I was like,
no,
oh boy.
No. I'm going to toss something at you. You got to tell me. What do you think? House of the Dragon or Rings of Power?
Which one do I like more?
Which one would you put as this is the one that's winning? This is the better. This is what people should not be missing.
House of the Dragon, for sure. People are hating Rings of Power.
Okay, I was almost going to have to, end the podcast. Rings of Power. No, I'm totally with you. Now, I wouldn't say people are hating Rings of Power.
I don't know.
It's picking up steam.
Did you see that Amazon released all their reviews so that everybody could see it? It's sitting at a 3.7.
Oh, well, it's not all that great. I haven't watched the most recent episode of either of these shows because I've been watching them with my wife.
Okay.
And since I've been on the road this week, it's waiting until I get around. Now, maybe I'll sit in a hotel room and live stream with her. Hey, let's do a watch party, and catch up 1 or 2 of these. But House of the Dragon, it's just been delivering from the first episode.
Yeah.
Bam, bam. And it's like we're back to the Game of Thrones type of content when it was at its prime.
Right.
Not what happened in the end.
Right.
So, it's great. And some great performances. And Matt Smith, I'm loving what he's done with his character. But it's the story. It's just a great story.
Yeah.
Rings of Power, I'm watching it.
Yeah.
But it's a little more work. And I keep trying to tell myself, oh, okay, well, that was cool. Okay, well, I see maybe where they're going. But I have to keep convincing myself that it's worth watching. And
Yeah, I have not actually watched Rings of Power yet. I probably won't, to be honest. I have such little time for TV that I'm like, I know I'm just gonna be mad. And
Well, it's partly fear of missing out that I'm watching.
Yeah,
A little
for
FOMO is
sure.
going on. I kind of got to be in this world. So,
for sure, yeah.
but it definitely hasn't won me over as an advocate.
Yeah.
Zach likes both those series for different reasons. He's not
Okay.
having any problem with Rings of Power.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I'm on episode 3 of House of the Dragon, and everything that I've seen so far, I've absolutely loved. And
nice.
I'm kind of regurgitating things that I've heard from other podcasts, people who are really into Game of Thrones and stuff. And what they have said is that it feels like the writers of the show recognized exactly what went wrong in those past couple seasons. Yeah. And they're like, okay, we're dialing
there you
it
go.
way back.
There you go. They've learned the lessons of the past.
Yeah.
Now, of course, neither of those quite reach for you the quality of The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. Why are you laughing? What? I saw somebody's take on the Wheel of Time TV series recently that I went, dude, you're onto something there, man. In that, as opposed to like House of the Dragon, where they're actually, really drawing the strengths from the source material, and they're creating a show. You can't translate perfectly to a screen, but what Wheel of Time has done is really taken a lot of liberties and decided what it wants to highlight. And instead of just, this is a really good story, just tell the story in a way that works on the screen. Nope. They're making it their own, and I liked the first season, but not as much as I liked the books. Not even close.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, if you're gonna do it so all the fans just love it.
I know.
I wish some changes they hadn't made.
What I'm kind of waiting with Wheel of Time and Rings of Power, if it gets to like the second or third or fourth season, and people like unanimously, mostly people are like, this has gotten really good,
then you can always go back.
Then I can always go back and watch.
Absolutely. Let people vet it for you first.
Yeah.
So when will you finish reading the Wheel of Time books?
Oh God.
Because I know it's on hiatus right now.
Yeah.
My wife is on the third to the last book. Dude. My wife, who isn't a fantasy reader, never would have, and she is so hooked now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe in like November or something. I think right now
you're still wallowing in the midst of the Shadow Rising somewhere, right?
Yeah. I'm
Is that too generous to say in the midst? Is it maybe more early?
No, I think I got like 13 or 14 hours into a 40-hour audiobook.
Okay, no, in the midst is accurate then. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We're so slammed on the podcast right now. I'm like, I have a book, like literally my schedule is like, I have to read this and I have to read that and I have to read that. And so I don't know, maybe sometime in November.
Okay. All right. I'll check back in. What's the last book that you seriously 100% DNF'd? Like, nope, this is not worth it. I'm not picking this one up again.
Oh, what was it? Can I check my Audible real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
What was yours?
Well, that's funny because I don't think I've ever DNF'd a book.
No.
I struggled to think of at least a series I DNF'd. And if we're talking too much lingo, did not finish. DNF.
Right.
Okay. The last one, and this might be the only series I've never finished, was the Icefire Trilogy by Patty Jansen. I read book 1, went, I'm just not grabbed. I've got more better stuff to read, and I let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like, I guess my most recent one, it looks like I've finished a lot. I haven't DNF'd in a while. So the last one that I did was The Howling Dark by Christopher Rocchio, and that's part of the Sun Eater saga.
Okay.
It's the one I was telling you about
I
a
think
while
I've heard
ago.
of that, the Sun Eater. Oh, maybe I heard from you about it, actually.
I kind of described it as King Killer meets Red Rising in space.
Yeah.
And the first book was pretty good. I wasn't, totally in love with it, but I had heard from many people that the second book gets a lot better. And I got into the second book, and at first it was pretty good, but then in the middle, it just it just grinded to a crawl. And I was just like,
bummer.
I'm kind of the opinion where, you know, if I'm not enjoying something, if I'm not enjoying something,
life is too short.
Life is too short to keep going. And I can usually tell. I mean, I have probably 175 books in my Audible library.
Okay.
And so by this point, I'm like, I know when something just isn't for me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Howling Dark, I'm sure a lot of people love it. It's got a huge community, but for me, it was kind of like, man.
All right, there you go. I'm a massive completionist. I have to finish what I start in general. Again, even with the Icefire trilogy, it was hard to not go to the next book anyways, because I committed. I got the first one in now.
Yeah.
No, I really didn't care enough about what was going to happen to these characters. So well, I'm moving on.
That works out for me, because now I know, like, when I give you a recommendation, you'll have to finish it.
See, that's what you'll have done to me. I mean, I even pushed all the way through the Book of the New Sun, Gene Wolfe,
that's wild.
all 5 books, and that was work. And then everybody's like, all the people who love this stuff is like, okay, but you really haven't read it now, because you don't get it all until the reread.
Yeah.
Like, I am not rereading that stuff. No, never.
So can I ask you, like, why is that? Like, why can't you bring yourself to DNF something?
I don't know. I think I'm just made that way.
Yeah.
I want to see something through.
If you tried to set it down, would it kind of stick in your brain?
It would bug me.
Yeah.
It would bug me.
Okay.
I'd be like, no,
That's fair.
this is still left untouched.
Yeah.
I mean, just talking about the Icefire trilogy is like, but what if the second book got better? Now, dang it,
Yeah.
But no, I've got about 1,000 things on my TBR.
That's totally fair, though, because there really is that feeling of like, wait, what if I'm missing out on something?
Yeah, totally. Did you watch The Expanse?
Yes, up to where they got through book 4.
Okay. So you still got a couple seasons to go.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you watch The Boys?
Yes. Not the newest season, but yes,
Okay.
I've watched The Boys.
We're not going to spoil anything here,
Okay.
But which do you prefer? The Expanse or The Boys?
Oh,
very different
God.
content. They're both drawing from literature sources and bringing it to the screen. They both make adaptation choices, but to be honest, they do stick to the basic feel of the source material. Pretty decent adaptations.
God, that's a hard question. I love both of them for such different reasons. I'm going to have to say, as much as I love The Expanse and I love the books, I think I got to go with The Boys.
Okay.
That's doing the Boys is doing something new that I'd never ever seen before. And I had never read the comics or anything. So when I'm watching this show, and in the first episode, he's talking to his girlfriend on the street,
and then only her hands.
A-Train comes running through and just disintegrating. I'm like,
wow, that was pretty shocking.
I'm like, oh, these are awful superheroes.
And then almost like, oh, my bad.
Yeah. And it's like, what? And oh man, and it's such a clever thing to take these typical like Avenger type superheroes and have them be just the worst people that you would never want in power. And I absolutely love The Boys.
I've enjoyed both of these very, very much, and I am current on both series.
Okay.
I mean, The Expanse is done for now. We hope that somebody else will pick it up and finish, because they've only done through the first 6 books, and there's 9 books. You got to finish the story. And The Boys is still ongoing, but I have to give it to The Expanse.
Okay.
And it's just because for me, it's a deeper story.
Yeah.
The Boys is a little more shallow.
Sure.
It's hitting you with graphic content and shocking impact, and it's great the way they've totally taken the superhero construct and flipped it on its head. I love that.
Yeah. And the character intricacies is one of the things that
but I find The Expanse just overall a deeper story.
That's fair.
So that's why I go there. But I'm definitely going to keep watching The Expanse. The Boys. Yeah. I want to see where they go with this. And likewise, I haven't read that content. I've read The Expanse.
Right.
So I'm familiar with the comics, but I
Yeah.
don't know what might happen next. I have no idea.
Have you seen Invincible on Amazon Prime?
No. Now that's based on a book.
It's based on comics.
Yeah.
But it's...
I think I have. I think I'm going to be reading that. I think I have it in my list.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
To get to.
It's animated, and I'm usually not interested in animated stuff, even most like anime and stuff. But this show, it goes so far beyond like what you would think an animated show could do, and it doesn't. Once you get into it, it doesn't feel animated. It feels like real people. And I absolutely, it's one season so far. Season 2 is coming soon. But if you enjoy The Boys, you got to watch Invincible. It's really, really good.
I do like when they take something you think you know what you're going to get and they subvert it really well. So, I mean, The Boys is doing that.
Yeah.
But another one, it's not out in film anywhere, but just in the material you can read. I'm a Marvel Comics fan, not DC. Marvel.
Okay.
And the series, multiple times iterations that brought it out, Marvel Zombies. Again, zombie apocalypse fan. So you put the two together, I'm like, oh, that's witty. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's good. So
are you a fan of the Walking Dead comics?
Oh, yes. I read them all.
Oh, really?
And I'm current on the season as well. You know, that they're about to come out with the final season of The Walking Dead on TV. So, yeah, big fan.
Are the comics better?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
I normally do not consider like reading any comics, but The Walking Dead has got me very, very close.
Yeah, my brother, 5 years younger than me, got me onto them.
Okay.
And man, can't stop reading them.
Okay.
So very, very good. We did an episode together at some point a ways back. I don't think is out there somewhere unless it's on your other channel on adaptations.
Yeah, it's going up on Monday.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But so it inspired a question to ask you here now. Your best fantasy adaptation. What do you think is your best? The best one out there. It doesn't have to be necessarily even your favorite. Just it's the best adaptation of fantasy content you're familiar with. It can be on TV or it can be a movie. What do you think?
Well, so my number one that I always go to, and it's not exactly fantasy, but it's the series of unfortunate events. It's that Netflix.
I never watched those on Netflix.
You should. You really should. Even though like the books are meant for a younger crowd.
Yeah.
The TV show is like aged up, and you can watch it at any age. But the Netflix adaptation is, I've never seen anything get closer to source material than that. It's literally like scene for scene, and it's really, really good. So that, I know that's not exactly fantasy.
It's fantasy adjacent.
Yeah.
Best
fantasy adaptation.
See, for me, and maybe it's too easy an answer, but the original, the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah,
it's just. And what I love about the adaptation is they were very true to the story. All they basically did is they left some things out because there's too much to put in there.
Yeah,
what they put in is the story,
right?
You know, and they nuanced a few things here or there, but they captured the essence of the Lord of the Rings so well. And a lot of what exists in fantasy adaptations owes itself to the success Lord of the Rings had commercially.
Yeah.
So big dollars gets thrown at this stuff now because look, it worked.
Yeah.
And it got Academy Awards. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, so when we're talking about best adaptation, are we talking like closest to the source material or just most enjoyable or what?
Whatever you want to take it, wherever you want to take it.
Because I think that currently my favorite adaptation that I actively watch is The Witcher. And I know that
it's an improvement on the source material.
That's what I'm saying.
It totally is. I've read all of The Witcher content, and yeah, what's coming to screen is better.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people out there that kind of complain about it and don't think it's the best or whatever. But right from the get-go, I think it came out. The first season came out a few years ago, like around Christmas time. Yeah. And I remember I was at my mom's for 2 or 3 days during that season. and I just sat and I watched it, and it was just like I couldn't stop. I was binging like all the episodes.
You made Netflix happy.
Yeah, I was just like, this is incredible. And Henry, how can you not love Henry Cavill? Like, that's not possible.
I'll have to tell you though, watching Netflix's first season of The Witcher was my first experience with anything related to The Witcher.
Oh yeah,
I was so lost.
Okay,
because it jumps all over the place in time, and I didn't figure that out.
Oh,
like, what is happening here? Late in the season, finally, it might have even been the last episode. I'm like, oh, now I get it. And I've rewatched it since, and it makes more sense, but that second season was way superior to the first season, though.
Yeah, I loved the second season. I have a hard time choosing between the two because I'm one of the people that love the alternate timelines in the first season. I think I caught on to it about maybe 3 or 4 episodes in when we see Geralt go back to the Queen's party, and it's like, oh, I see what's happening here. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll be careful. But I read one of the books and I did not enjoy it, but I was a huge fan of the games. Yeah. And I don't know if I
played a little bit of
Witcher
third
3.
one.
Yeah. So I was a huge fan of Witcher games. And then tried the books. I was like, and then when the show came out, I was just like, this is exactly what I want.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's next on your TBR? I think I already mentioned, for me, it's Malazan. That's what's coming. I'm like, next big thing. But what about you?
Yeah. So a lot of it is podcast stuff. So like tomorrow we're having Nicholas Eames on. So I'm doing my
King the Wild.
King's the Wild.
I haven't read that yet.
He oops.
Oh, it's all good. Puppy's being friendly again. Hi.
Yeah, so
look at you.
Today and tomorrow I'll be finishing up my third reread of Kings of the Wild, just to kind of prepare for it.
Okay, yeah.
And then the week after that, I'll be going through all of the King's Dark Tidings. I'm going to try to get all 5 done in a week because we have an interview with Calcade.
Man, you're just lining up these interviews. I'll reach out to people to be like, nah, we never did the Fantasy Files, so we're booked. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Book or series you have reread the most? I know, I think I know what it might be, but go ahead.
Oh man, yeah. It's probably Dresden Files, but honestly,
but it could be the Night Angel trilogy. You really have reread that a number of times.
Yeah, it's either Dresden Files, Night Angel, or King's Dark Tidings.
Okay,
and I've read all of those. I don't know. I've read Dresden Files like at least 8 or 9 times in like total series rereads.
Got it.
So maybe that's it.
No one here will be shocked when I say the Wheel of Time.
Yeah,
this is what I've read the most. Yeah. I've got 2 last questions.
Okay,
we are in the final stretch.
Okay,
one, someone we haven't mentioned at all on the podcast here today, Brandon Sanderson.
Oh yeah,
he's like the biggest thing in fantasy out there right now.
Yeah,
the man has the Midas touch.
Yeah,
what do you think of his writing?
I've enjoyed everything.
I don't hear you talk about it much at all.
Yeah, I don't, because I've mostly read Mistborn. I've read every book in the Mistborn series that's out so far, including Era 2. I've read part of I've read about half of the first Stormlight book, and I've read about half of Elantris.
Okay.
So I don't have a huge he's not someone that I read a whole lot. I think he's very good. Yeah. And I think that the end of the first Mistborn trilogy showed everyone that he can do these huge, like, mind-bending reveals that are just like, I did not see that coming. And of course, he's the owner of the Sanderlanche. At the end of most of his books, he's just got all this information and climax that comes at one time. It's like, oh my god, this is crazy. But I don't think I could ever say that he's like my favorite author, because like his prose, his prose is good, but it's not like anything near like someone like Patrick Rothfuss or something like that. I feel like he's kind of the Stephen King of fantasy. You know what I mean?
That's not bad. That's not a bad parallel to describe. Yeah.
He's got a lot of books out. He's very popular. He's very good at what he
puts
does.
them out so fast.
But there's a lot of authors that I would rather read than Stephen King. Yeah.
I've read a lot of Stephen King's older stuff and not so much of his newer stuff, because for me it started to get the same.
I've heard that.
It started to get repetitious. But Brandon Sanderson, I've read everything he's got out there except one of his YA series, the space one.
Oh, Skyward or
yes,
whatever.
Thank you, Skyward. And it's on my TBR because it's the thing that's missing. He did recently this campaign on Kickstarter, broke Kickstarter, with his secret novels. I've got those coming. Me too. I put the money, I just Kindle format is all I've got. I don't need to buy. I don't need the fancy physical books. But what I found with Brandon Sanderson is I do enjoy it. It's always a good story. Is it the best out there? No, it's just something. It's always solid.
Right.
So I've enjoyed everything. Stormlight Archive is that's a commitment to get through. Those books are thick honkers, and
we're about to commit to them on the podcast. We're going to do episodes for them.
Nice. When I first read the first book, which you're only partway through, I literally DNF'd it.
Oh, why?
I was about 25-30% in and just ran out of steam. I wasn't getting into it. Oh. That book starts slow. It really does. And you got to get like 3/4 of the way into the book before it finally starts to pick up and everything starts to make sense. And there's a Sanderlanche at the end, which makes it worthy. But I mean, there's a whole story with that I didn't finish it. And again, I never DNF things.
Yeah.
So when the second book was coming out, I bought it.
Yeah.
Because I read the first one, didn't I? Now I was reading other stuff, so I didn't read the second one. I just had it.
Yeah.
And then the third one was going to be coming out, so I pre-ordered it.
Okay.
Because I've got the first two, and when that third one came out, and I'm like, oh great, and I started reading it, and I'm like, I don't remember the second book, so I went back to the second book and went, wait a second, I've never actually read this one. So then went back to the first book and went, oh, this is the one I DNF'd. So now I had two more books I already owned, pushed on through, and it was all worth it. It was worth it.
That's great.
But I found the second book was also a little slow to start. It's massive world building that he's done. So it was hard to get into the second one, but it picks up sooner.
Yeah. And
then the third one picks up a lot sooner, and the fourth one is just a rush. It's a great series. And the fifth one, it's probably going to be all Sanderlanche from the start.
See, that's funny, because I think I felt kind of the opposite to you, where the first like 25 to 30% was the stuff that had me going. Like I loved, was her name Shallan or Shallan? The red hair.
I never listened to it, so I don't know. But I say Shallan.
Okay. Yeah, I was really into all of her story, and like that kept me going. And Kaladin's story was a little iffy at the start, but it got better.
Yeah.
But then when Dalinar came in, that's when I was like, I'm gonna set this down for a bit.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Is that a hot take?
Well, you will learn.
Okay.
You will learn.
Okay.
I'm not gonna spoil anything for you here. Right. Final question. This one I don't have to answer. It's just for you.
Oh.
When are you finally gonna start your Discord server? People want to be there with you.
As soon as Gabe does it, it's his job.
That's been tossed to Gabe. All right.
I'm like, I do the notes, I do the editing, I do all this stuff. I'm like, you're doing the Discord.
It's gotta do something. Discord is one of the best things that's come out of our content creating, because that's where we really get to connect with people. And we've got a lot of followers on Twitter. I think we're about 750 followers now. A lot of people engage with us there, but it's all shallow. It's like, hey, I liked that. And hey, maybe they answer a poll or they give a little reply.
Right.
But Discord, you have real conversations and really get to know people. And sometimes we'll do some, actual voice chats, and, the interaction is a whole nother level. So really have enjoyed Discord. So
nice.
Gabe, get on it, man. Get on it. Okay. That's all I got. That's where we'll stop.
Right.
And I said we usually go about 90 minutes on my episodes. This is only an hour 14. So it's a brief one. Hey, we fit in the pocket here. I am gonna run our outro, which will play next to us here. This
Awesome.
is just where I always remind people: like, subscribe, tell your friends. We have no giveaways. Just come, be part of us. Join us on Discord. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I feel bad when I say Facebook. I go there maybe once a week.
It's started wasting.
It's a cesspool now, We do have an email. No one emails us.
Oh yeah.
This is Princess Nigeria. Unless it was funny. But anyways, thanks for being here, everyone. Talk to you.
Thanks, guys.